Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome to our Bhagavad Gita Shloka recitation and Mahabharata reading session. We'll begin now. Om Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai. Sri Mahabharata ki jai. Let's begin. We're going to recite chapters 7, 8 and 9. And when I call on your name, please unmute yourself. You just continue reciting. Everyone is reciting anyway. Just when I call your name, you recite, you just unmute yourself. And again, when I call someone else's name, you just mute yourself. Okay. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text 1. Who will begin today? Radhika, would you like to start?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear. So everyone else, please mute and continue to recite. I'm muting myself also. Yeah, start. And you just tell the number before you start each verse. 7, 1.
So
Usually,
how many verses should I do?
Usually 10 at a time. 10 meaning we go from, sometimes there's no verses in between. So we go with 7, 1 and maybe 7, 4 like that.
Yeah, okay.
But you come to 9 and then I'll call on the next person.
Okay. Bhagavad Gita 7.1 Shri Bhagavan Vacha Maya Sakta Manapatha Yogam Yunjanma Ashraya Asamshayam Samagram Mam Yatha Gyasasi Tatrinu. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Now hear, O son of Pritha, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. Jnanam teham savijnanam idam vakshyami sheshata yad gyatva neha bhuyodnyas gyatva yam avashishyate. I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. Bhagavad Gita 7.3 Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschin mam veti tatvataha. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. 7.4 Bhumirapo nalo vayu kammano buddhir evacha ahankara iti yamme bhinna prakritirashtada. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Altogether, these 8 comprise my separated material energies. 7.5 Apareyam itastvanyam Prakritim vidhi me param jiva bhutam mahabaho yayedam dharyate jagat. Besides these, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mind which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. 7.6 Etad yonini bhutani sarvaniti upadaraya aham kritsnasya jagata prabhava pradayastata. All created beings have their source in these two natures. Of all that is material and all that is spiritual in this world, know for certain that I am both the origin and the dissolution. 7.7 Matta parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya mai sarvam idam protam shutre mani gana iva. O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. 7.8 Rasoham apsu konteya prabhasmi shashisudayo pranava sarva vedeshu shabda ke paurusham nishu. O son of Kunti, I am the taste of water, the light of the sun and the moon, the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras. I am the sound in ether and the ability in man.
Okay, Isha.
7:10 Bijam mam sarva bhutanam vidhi partha sanatanam buddhir buddhimatam tejas tejas vinamaham. O son of Pritha, know that I am the original seed of all existences, the intelligence of the intelligent, and the prowess of all powerful men. 7:11 Balam balavatam chaham kamarava vivarjatam dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshabha. I am the strength of the strong, devoid of passion and desire. I am sex life, which is not contrary to religious principles, O Lord of the Bharatas, Arjuna. 7:12 Ye chaiva satvika bhava rajasastamasashaya mattaya veti tan vidhi tatvaham te shrute mai. Know that all states of being, be they of goodness, passion, or ignorance, are manifested by my energy. I am in one sense everything, but I am independent. I am not under the modes of material nature, for they, on the contrary, are within me. 7:13 Prabhir Gunamayar Bhavar Evi Sarvam Idam Jagat Moditam Nahi Janati Mamebhya Paramabhyayam. Deluded by the three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, the whole world does not know me, who am above the modes and inexhaustible. 7:14 Daivi Hyasha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya Mame Vaye Prapatyante Mayam Etam Tarantite. This divine energy of mine, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. 7:15 Namam Dushkriti no Murdha Prapadyante Naradhama Maya Pahrata Jnana Asuram Bhavamashrita. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. 7:16 Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana sukritinorjuna artho jigyasur artarthi jnani cha bharatarshabha. O best among the Bharatas, the four kinds of wise men begin to render devotional service unto me. The distressed, the desirer of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is certain for knowledge of the Absolute. 7:17 Tesham Gyani Nityayukta eka bhaktir vishishyate priyo hi jnaninotyartham aham satra mama priyaha. Of these, the one who is in full knowledge and who is always engaged in pure devotional service is the best. For I am very dear to him, and he is dear to me. 719. Bahunam janmanam te jnanavanam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti sudurlabha. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare.
720. Kameste sthita jnana prapadyante nyadevacha tam tam niyamam asthaya prakritya niyudasvaya. Those whose indulgence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto the demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations according to their own natures. 722. Satya Sradhaya Yuktas Tasya Vihate Labhate Kaman Endowed with such a faith, he endeavors to worship a particular demigod and obtains his desires. But in actuality, these benefits are bestowed by me alone. 23. Antavanu phalam tevsam Dharmavatyangame tasam Devan devayato Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. 724. Avyaktam yaktamavannam manyante mavathaya param bhavam ajananto brahmanyam anuttamam. Unindulgent men who do not know me perfectly think that I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was impersonal before and have now assumed personality. They reputed their small knowledge. They do not know my higher nature, which is imperishable and supreme. 25. Naham prakasa sarvasya yogamaya samaskrita mudhoyam nupita nati loko mama savam avyayam. I am never manifest to the fullest and unindulgent. For them, I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and infallible. 726. Vedam samsamaditani vartamana vicharjana palasyami jaktani vidavajana kastana. O Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I also know all the living entities, but me no one knows. 727. It's Sarvesa Samudera Dwandamohena Bharata Samalva Bhutani Samoham Sarvayanti Parantapa. O Scion of Bharata, O conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into confusion, bewildered by dualities, arisen from desire and hate. 728. Yesam Puntakanam Bhakam Jananam Panyakarmana Tervanda Mohan Mukta Bhajante Mamrinavrata. Persons who have acted wisely in previous life and in this life, and whose sinful acts are completely eradicated, are freed from the duality of the reason, and they engage themselves in my service with determination.
8.5 Antakale samameva swanatva kalevaram yapayati samadbhavam yati nastresa samsaya. And whoever, at the end of his life, quits his body, remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. Yam yam vapi smaram bhavam virutyante kalevaram tam tam evaiti kaunteya sada tadbhava bhavataha. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. 8.7 Tasmat sarvesu kalesu manusayudyata maya tato mano buddhe mame vaisya. Therefore, Arjuna, you shall always think of me in the form of Krishna, and at the end, sometime, carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me, and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. Abhyasayogayaptena cetasana paramam purusam divyam yati partha vicintayan. He who meditates on me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path. He, O Partha, is sure to reach me. Ananyate satatam yomam smriti nityasaha tasyaham sulabha partha nitya yuktasya yoginaha. For one who always remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain, also as Pritha, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. 8.15 Mahupetya punarjanma dukhalayam sasvatam napnuvanti mahatmanaha samsiddhim paramam gata. After attaining me, great souls who are yogis and devotion never return to this temporary world. They are full of miseries because they have attained the highest perfection. Brahmabhuvanaloka punaravartinurjana mahupetya dukunteya punarjanmana vidyate. From the highest point in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. 8.17 Sahasrayogaparyantam Aharyadbrahmano viduhu Ratrim yuga sahasrantam Tehoratra vidodhana. By human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together form the duration of Brahma's one day, and such is also the duration of his night. Uttagama evayam bhutva bhutva paliyate Rajyagirima Partha Rapavayagame. Again and again, when Brahma arrives, all entities come into being, and with the arrival of Brahma's night, they are helplessly annihilated.
Okay, if you're not ready, then Isha. Huh? Yeah, no. Yeah, go ahead, Radhika.
8.20 परस्तस्मात् भावोऽन्यो व्यक्तो व्यक्तात् सनातनः यः सर्वेषु भूतेषु नश्यत्सु न विनश्यति. Yet there is another unmanifest nature which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never annihilated. When all in this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. 821. Avyakto shara ityuktas tam aho paramam gatim yam prapya na nivartante tadhama paramam mama. That which the Vedantists describe as unmanifest and infallible, that which is known as the supreme destination, that place from which, having attained it, one never returns, that is my supreme abode. 828. Vedeshu yagyeshu tapasu chaiva daneshu yat punya phalam pradishtam atyeti tatsarvam idam viditva yogi param sthanam upeti chadyam. A person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas, performing sacrifices, undergoing austerities, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. Simply by performing devotional service, he attains all these, and at the end, he reaches the supreme eternal abode. 9.1. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Idam Tu Te Kuyatamam Pavakshyami Anusuyave Jnanam Vijnana Sahitam Yadgyatva Mokshase Shubhat. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence. 9.2. Rajavidya Rajaguhyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam Pratyakshaavagamam Dharmyam Susukham Kartum Avyayam. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting, and it is joyfully performed. 9.3. Ashraddhadana Purusha Dharmasyasya Parantapa Aprapya Mam Nivartante Mrityu Samsara Vartmani. Those who are not faithful in this devotional service cannot attain me, O conqueror of enemies. Therefore they return to the path of birth and death in this material world. 9.4. Maya tatam idam sarvam jagad avyaktamurtina matsthani sarvabhutani nachaham teshavastita. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. 9.5. Na cha matsasthani bhutani pashyame yogam aishwaram bhutabrin na cha bhutasto mamatma bhuta bhavana. And yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere, I am not part of this cosmic manifestation. For myself is the very source of creation.
Isha.
Nine tenths. Mayadhyakshena prakritihi suyate sacharacharam hetunanena kaunteya jagat viparivartate. This material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction. O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. 911. Avajananti murdha manushim tanumashratam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the supreme Lord of all that be. 912. Moksha mokha karmano mokha jnana vichetasaha prakrtim asurim jaiva prakritim mohinim shrita. Those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demonic and atheistic views. In that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruitive activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated. 913. Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakritamashata bhajantan tenanya manato yatva bhutadamavyayam. O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantasya dridhavrata namasyantasya mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. 917. Pitaham asya jagato mata dhata pitamaha vedyam pavitram okara riksama yujurevacha. I am the father of this universe, the mother, the support, and the grandsire. I am the object of knowledge, the purifier, and the syllable Om. I am also the Rig, the Sama, and the Yajurvedas. Tetam bhukva swargalokam vishalam, shine punya martyalokam vishanti, evam trayi dharmamano prapanna, gata gatam kama kama labhyate. When they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure, and the results of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principles of the three Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death. Ananya shintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshema vahamyaham. But those who worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack, and I preserve what they have. 923. Yepyanya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvita tepi mameva kanteya yajantya vidhi purvakam. Those who are devotees of other gods and who worship them with faith actually worship only me, O son of Bhakti, but they do so in a wrong way. Aham hi sarvayagyanam bhokta cha prabhureva cha nato mam abhijananti tatvena tashravanti te. I am the only enjoyer and master of all sacrifices. Therefore, those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down. 925. Yanti deva vrata devan pitrin yanti pitrivrataha bhutani yanti bhutejya yanti madhya jinopimam. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. And those who worship me will live with me. 926. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tat aham bhaktya pahratam ashnami prayatatmanaha. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. 927. Yat karoshi yadashnasi yad juhoshi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. समोऽहं सर्वभूतेषु न मे द्वेषोऽस्ति न प्रियः ये भजन्ति तु मां भक्त्या मयि तेषु चाप्यहम् I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion, friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him.
9:30 अपि चेद्राचारो भजते माम् अनन्यभाक् साधुरेव सम्यग् व्यवसितो हि सः. Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination. 9:31 Supreme Bhavati Dhammatma Sasvaksam Tannivam Sati Kauteya Pratijanihi Name Bhakta Pranasati. He quickly becomes righteous, committed to last feet. O son of Kandi, declare boldly that my devotee is 9:32 Mahabharata Pasatya Ye Peace Upapayam Sri Those who take shelter in me, though they be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, Sudras, can attain the supreme blessedness. 9:33 Kempana Brahmana Punya Bhakta Rajasayastaka Anatyam Asapam Imam Pratya Bhajasam. How much more does this so? The righteous Brahmanas, the devotees, the kings. Therefore, having come to this temporary miserable world, engage in living service unto me. Mana Bhagavan Bhakta Madhya Jima Namastu Name Precious Devam Atma Manpara. Engage your mind always in thinking of me. Become my devotee. Offer obeisance to me and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me.
Thank you. I keep forgetting to unmute myself. So we'll read Mahabharata now. Yesterday we had, after Duryodhan returned to Hastinapur, remember Duryodhan had met with the Danavas and so he got confidence now. Now he was simply preparing to fight with the Pandavas and he was going to become the next emperor. He's going to do the next. This is what he's thinking. He's going to do his Rajasuya Yagya after that, after killing Yudhishthir Maharaj. So anyway, he went back and once Durvasa Muni visited Duryodhan. Durvasa Muni is known to test his hosts. So wherever he went, he would he would really test the patience of the host. So he would at odd times he would say that I'm hungry. So they would have to make arrangement for his food. And then when the food was ready, he would say, I have to take bath. I'm going to the river. And he would go to the river, he would take bath, and then he would come back after a long time. And when he would come back, and the prasadam would still be waiting for him, and he would say, I'm not hungry now. I'm not going to eat. And then again, late in the night, in the midnight or something, he would say, I'm hungry. And and if the host, so the reason he did this was to make sure that So who is the host? Usually it's a grihastha, isn't it? So are they really keen in following the dharma of a grihastha? So serving the guest. So that's why he would test them. And then if somebody actually succeeded in satisfying him, then he would benedict them. So we saw, or we know that he had visited King Kunti Bhoja and Kunti Maharani. At that time, she was Kunti, Princess Kunti. She was serving him. So he tested her for 1 year. And at the end of 1 year, finally he was satisfied and he gave her a benediction. So now he came to Hastinapur and he came with his 10,000 disciples, not that he would travel alone. And he said, "We are hungry, arrange for our food." So, understanding that Durvasa Muni could curse, right? If anything didn't go well, it's not that he will say, okay, no, he will curse also. And he's a very powerful sage. So, if you get cursed by him, you're doomed. So, out of fear, Duryodhan was very, very humble, totally against his personality, very humble, and he would uh, attend to the needs of Durvasa Muni. And in this way, Durvasa Muni stayed with Duryodhan for how long? You remember for how long? He stayed for a few days. And Duryodhan did, the best he could, tolerating and remaining patient and humble, serving Durvasa Muni. Finally, Durvasa Muni was very pleased with Duryodhan's service and he was about to leave. So before leaving, he said, "I'm very satisfied. I want to give you something. I want to give you a benediction." And Duryodhan was just waiting for this opportunity. He knew that, if the sage offered a benediction, he was prepared what he was going to ask. So what did Duryodhan ask? He said that my cousins, Yudhishthir and his brothers and his wife, they are living in Dvaitavana. He's also a great householder. He takes care of the guests so wonderfully. I want that you go to him also, so that he will get the benediction of such a great sage as you. But there is one request, condition actually, because the sage is giving a benediction here, so he will ask what he wants, and because he already offered it, he has to fulfill it. So he said, "Can you please go when everyone has finished eating? The whole family has finished eating. Draupadi also has finished eating, because now they are satisfied after eating. They will be able to serve you nicely. Then you go there after they have finished eating for the day." So Durasamuni smiled and he said, "Yes." And then soon after some time, Durasamuni arrived at uh, the Pandava's residence in Kamyaka forest, Dvaitavana. He stationed his 10,000 disciples in the outskirts and he alone went to the Pandavas. So the Pandavas, this was in the evening time after they had finished eating, or maybe late afternoon, maybe. And Yudhishthir Maharaj was, he received the sage, gave him a seat of honor and all that. And then Durvasa Muni said, and he said, "How can we serve you?" And he said, "We are here. I'm here with my 10,000 disciples. We've been traveling, walking for a long distance. We are tired and very hungry. Please arrange for our prasadam. We are going to take bath and we'll come back." And Yudhishthir Maharaj said, "Certainly, yes, please." And then the sage went away to take bath in the river. Now Yudhishthir Maharaj is worried what to do. And then he called, like usually husbands do, they call the wives. "Is there anything we can do? The sage is here with 10,000 wives. I'm sorry, 10,000 disciples." sorry, 10,000 disciples. "Is there anything we can do? We have to arrange." He's known to be very short tempered. How can we serve? Besides, he's a householder, it would be very painful for him to not be able to do his dharma. So Draupadi went and she looked in that pot given by Akshay Patra, given by Suryadev. She said, "I finished eating, it's cleaned up, and until tomorrow morning, this Akshay Patra is not going to give any more food." So, but Draupadi, anytime, because she's such a devotee, anytime she's in difficulty, she just praise to Lord Krishna. So she remembered Lord Krishna and she said, "My Lord, the way you saved me in that gambling match, you saved my honor. Similarly, now please save my honor. The sage is here with his disciples, and we don't have anything to feed him. Please help me." At that time, Krishna was in Dwaraka. He was on bed, laying down with Rukmini. But as soon as Draupadi offered these prayers, Krishna just got up, sat up, and without saying anything, he just started running out of Dwaraka. And instantly he was there in front of Draupadi at her door. And then she said, "Oh Krishna, you have come, please save me. This is the situation." He said, "I will save you, don't worry, but first I'm very hungry. Give me something to eat. I'm so hungry." And then she said, "Are you joking?" She said, "But there is no food. That's the problem. The plate is empty." And Krishna said, "This is not the time for joking. Go quickly, get that pot." And then she went and got the pot and he looked. There was one small piece of rice and some little piece of sabji stuck together on the pot. That is also Krishna's, mercy, his magic. And then he just took that little bit and he put it in his mouth and he said while eating, "May the Lord of all yagyas be satisfied by this." Of course, he himself is the source of the Lord of all yagyas, Lord Vishnu, but he said, "Yeah, may the Lord of all yagyas be satisfied." And he ate that. And after eating that, he was like, did he belch? Did Krishna also belch? We don't know. But the sages did. So anyway, and he was like, now I'm satisfied. And then he said, "Sahadev, go and call the sages, tell them prasadam is ready." And they think, prasadam is ready. There is no prasadam. But they had confidence in Krishna's words. If Krishna is saying, then no arguing with Krishna. He went, this is also a pure devotee, right? Even though everything is dark in front, if the Lord says, there is path, just keep walking. You just, depending, having confidence in Krishna, you'll just keep walking. Like that, the Lord said, "Go and call all the 10,001 sages, tell them prasadam is ready." Sahadev went to call them. Meanwhile, Durvasa Muni was in the river taking bath. All of a sudden, he felt that he became so full. They were all belching, like they just finished eating, like they were so full that they were practically rolling on the ground. They were so full. And they wondered what's happening. And then Durvasa Muni realized, my God, Yudhishthir Maharaj, he made arrangement for 10, he made prasadam, he arranged prasadam for 10,000 people. It's not easy, right? In the forest, he somehow made arrangement, so much cooking, he got all the prasadam ready. Now, if we don't go, what will happen? He'll become angry at us. And I know his Dharmaraj, he has great ascetic power. If he becomes displeased, I know in the past, right, people can have a lot of difficulty if they displease Dharmaraj. So the best thing is, let's just run away from here. So Durvasa Muni told all his disciples, just as soon as possible, you let's run away from this place. So he just, without saying a word, got out of the river. He just started walking in, I think, in the eastern direction or something. And all the other disciples, they were also so full. They just started running in different directions, going away from them. And then Sahadev came after some time looking for Durvasa Muni and the sages. Nobody is there. The river, but he saw some water pots and some copings or some clothes, they were there on the shore, and nobody is there. And he saw some Brahmins and he asked, "What happened? Where is Durvasa Muni and his disciples?" And they said, "Oh, we just saw them all running in haste. They just went away." So, and then Sahadev went back and told Yudhishthir Maharaj, "Ah, apparently Durvasa Muni and his disciples, they went away." But Yudhishthir Maharaj was still worried. They went away, but they're going to come back for prasadam. Because I told them prasadam is going to be ready. What are we going to do? Oh my God. And he looked at Krishna and Krishna said, they're never going to come back. Don't worry. So that's how Krishna saved them. And then uh, Krishna went away, right? And then he said, "I have to go home now." So actually, Yudhishthir Maharaj said, "Thank you so much. You always, whenever we are in a difficult situation, You're always there. You are our protector. You saved my honor today, like that. And then he said, you must have, things at home, right, to do. You just came for us, but thank you. So, so Krishna said, I will see you. Didn't Krishna say something that he will see him again after? Let me check. Hmm. Yeah, actually, this part, when Duryodhan asked Durvasa and Durvasa said, okay, I will go, Duryodhan was in ecstasy. He was like, yes. And he went and told all his, friends, our plan has succeeded. The Pandavas are doomed, right? Now, where will they get so much food for 10,000 people? So Durvasa will curse them and they're finished like that. He was happy. Anyway, so Krishna left. So Yudhishthir said, oh Krishna, as persons drowning in a vast ocean are saved by a boat, so we have been saved by you. Be pleased to go now as you desire. Yeah. So then Krishna left. Yeah, he thanked. Um, yeah, they were so after Krishna left, they were thanking. No, the Pandavas were thanking Draupadi for her presence of mind. It was Draupadi who prayed to Krishna. And then they were talking about this incident, how Krishna came and saved them, how kind is Krishna, like that. Yeah. Also, they also considered how is it that Durvasa Muni happened to come here in the forest? This is also Kaurava's plan, right? This must have been arranged by the Kauravas, like that. But whatever difficulties, the Kauravas plan for a scheme against us, um, Krishna is always there to save us, like that. And they rested. You see, this is in the night because the Durvasa Muni came late. So then they all went to bed. Now the next chapter, chapter 33. Jayadratha kidnaps Draupadi. So remember also, this is the last year of exile in the forest. And then one more year would be in incognito, yeah, Agyatavas. Yeah. So for 11 years, they were in the mountains and then they came back. Okay. So before this was what happened before. Yeah, Dvaitavana also happened. Dvaitavana means when Duryodhan comes to Dvaitavana, that also happened in this year. And then the Gandharvas capture Duryodhan, that also happened in the 12th year. Durvasa Muni visits the Pandavas, that also happened in the 12th year. Now Jayadratha kidnaps Draupadi, that's also happening. About a month after the incident with Durvasa, the Pandavas were out hunting together. They had left Draupadi at the hermitage under Daumya's care. While they were gone, the king of Sindhu, Jayadratha, passed that way while traveling to Shalva's kingdom. So, he is the king of Sindhu, who Jayadratha, but he was going to Shalva's kingdom. Seated upon a royal chariot, he came to the outskirts of the Pandavas' ashram and saw Draupadi gathering flowers. The king at once fell in love, more like fell in lust. The beautiful Draupadi, her dark complexion framed by bluish curls, shed luster on the woodlands. As she bent over to gather the wild forest flowers, Jayadratha was captivated. He said to his son Kotika, go and ask this lady her name. Find out if she is an Apsara or a daughter of some god. They didn't recognize. Jayadratha was on his way to marry King Shalva's daughter. But upon seeing Draupadi, he lost all interest in that other princess. No other woman could ever match the beauty of this forest lady. Go, Kotika, and find out why this lady loiters in the forest full of wild beasts and thorns. If she will have me as her lord, then I will consider my life successful. The prince jumped down from the chariot. As a jackal approaches a tigress, he went up to Draupadi and asked, O fair one, who are you who stands here leaning on the branch of a Kadamba tree? looking like a brilliant flame. Why do you feel no fear in this forest? Are you a goddess or the daughter of a celestial? Perhaps you are the wife of a Lokapala. Who are the four Lokapalas? Yes, go ahead. Yes, just say.
Varuna, Shashoka,
Yeah,
Varuna, Kuvera, Yamaraj, and Indra.
yes. So are you the wife of one of the Lokapalas? Tell me, gentle lady, who and whose you are. Right? Who? Who are you? What is your name? And whose are you? Whose daughter or wife? What is your race and why are you here? The prince introduced himself and then, pointing to his father, said, so this is Kotika, the son of Jayadratha, speaking to Draupadi. He introduced himself and then, pointing to his father, said, that one there, shining like a sacrificial fire, is the king of Sindhu, surrounded by powerful kings. He is traveling at the head of 6,000 chariots and many elephants, horsemen, and infantry. Like Indra amid the Maruts, he is journeying amid his friends. He is gazing upon you, O thin waisted one. Draupadi stepped back and pulled her cloth over her head. O prince, it is not proper for me to speak to you here. The ordinance dictates that a woman should never be alone with any man other than her husband. Under the circumstances, however, I will tell you who I am. I am the daughter of King Drupada and the wife of the 5 heroic Pandava brothers. My husbands are now out hunting, but they will return soon. You should tell your father to dismount from his chariot and wait for them. Yudhishthir is fond of guests and will doubtlessly offer you a fitting reception. Draupadi turned and walked back toward her cottage, leaving Kotika standing by the Kadamba tree. Sorry, it says Kokita. I was thinking Kotika. Kotika, right? Okay. Yeah, we'll check later. Okay. So Kotika then returned to his father and told him what she had said. The king replied, why have you returned unsuccessful? I must have that woman. Now that I have seen her, all other women seem to me like monkeys. My mind was entranced, right? The moment I saw that princess. You will have to take her by force, dear father. She will surely not come willingly. Jayadratha got down from his chariot and went with his son and several other kings toward the Pandavas' hermitage. Like a pack of wolves entering a lion's den, they went into the ashram and saw Draupadi standing there. In a silky voice, Jayadratha said, is all well with you and your husbands, O queen? Draupadi answered that everything was then said, is all well with your kingdom, treasury, and armies? Are you justly ruling the prosperous countries of Sindhu, Savira, and all others brought under your sway? Yudhishthir will soon return and offer you refreshments. For now, please accept this water to wash your feet and be pleased to wait for my husbands. Draupadi pointed towards several large pitchers of water standing by her cottage. Jayadratha smiled. All is well with us, O fair-faced one, but we have no interest in food and water. He stared at Draupadi as he continued to speak. I wish to take you with us. Why do you remain attached to Kunti's wretched sons? They have lost all their prosperity and are forced to dwell in the forest. A woman of good sense does not devote herself to a fallen husband. Your husbands have fallen from their dignity and have lost everything. You need not share the Pandavas' miseries. O you of beautiful hips, renouncing them, become my wife and share with me the kingdoms of Sindhu and Savira. Draupadi frowned and retreated a few steps. She felt pained to hear Jayadratha's speech. Are you not ashamed to speak in this way? She retorted. How dare you address me thus? Draupadi's face flushed and her eyes turned crimson. Her voice rose to an angry shout. "O fool! How dare you insult the illustrious Pandavas, each of whom is like Indra himself? They all abide by their duties and never waver in battle, even with the celestials. The wise never criticize men who practice devout penances, even if they are impoverished. Only dogs speak like that. I do not see anyone here who can save you from the pit you have dug under your own feet. By expecting to defeat the pious Yudhishthir, you hope to separate with a stick a Himalayan elephant from his herd. Out of childishness, you are rousing a sleeping mountain lion to pluck a hair from his face. You will have to flee with all speed when you see the furious Bhima. When Arjun returns, you will not know which way to turn. Your inviting these two heroes to an encounter is like a fool trampling on the tails of two enraged and venomous cobras. As a bamboo bears fruit only to perish, or as a crab conceives only to die, so shall you meet your end when you lay your hands upon me. Jayadratha laughed, enchanted by the sight of the furious Draupadi. I know all this, O Panchali, he replied derisively. You cannot frighten me with your threats. I am born in a royal line, endowed with opulences and qualities. I consider the Pandavas inferior. Therefore, mount my chariot and come with me. Do not speak so boastfully. Draupadi was horrified. Why does this fool take me to be powerless? She cried. Even Indra could not abduct me. Even if he tried, Arjun and Krishna, riding upon the same chariot, would follow and destroy him. What then of a weak human? O king, when Arjun releases his deadly arrows, you will see your entire force destroyed as dry grass is consumed by fire. Beholding Bhima rushing at you with his upraised mace, and the twins ranging on all sides, vomiting forth their anger, you will then be sorry. As I have never proven false to my husbands, even in my thoughts, so those men will destroy you. I do not fear you, wretch. Draupadi looked away from Jayadratha. She knew that by her own ascetic powers she could reduce him to ashes, but she did not want to be drawn to violence by Jayadratha. Her husbands would deal with him soon enough. Jayadratha stepped forward and seized the princess by her arm. She cried, Do not pollute me by your touch, and called out for Dhaumya. Jayadratha took hold of her upper garment, but she pushed him back with such force that he fell to the ground. Then Jayadratha was angry. He grabbed Draupadi and dragged her to his chariot. Dhaumya suddenly appeared and rebuked Jayadratha. You cannot seize this lady without defeating the Pandavas, O king. You should observe the Kshatriya's ancient custom. Truly, you will reap the results of this wicked act when the heroic Pandavas return. Jayadratha ignored Dhaumya. He placed Draupadi on his chariot and sped away, followed by his army. Dhaumya entered among the king's troops and stayed close behind, continuously reprimanding him with strong words. So he was running behind. The Pandavas were some distance from the ashram. As they went through the dense forest, Yudhishthir began noticing inauspicious signs. He's the first one to notice any inauspicious signs. So Yudhishthir began to notice inauspicious signs. He said, Do you see how these birds and animals flee toward the sun and pass excrement? This indicates that the forest has been invaded by enemies. Let us return to the ashram. My heart seems to be aching for some reason, and my mind is clouded. I feel as if I were about to fly out of my body. The five brothers immediately started back. As they raced through the trees and bushes with their weapons flying behind them, that means they were running. So, as they were running, the weapons were flying behind them. They saw a jackal yelling hideously. Yudhishthir became still more concerned and urged them on. Suddenly, they burst into the clearing where they were camped. There, on the ground, they saw Dhatreika, Draupadi's maid, weeping loudly. The Pandavas' ever present servant and charioteer, Indrasena, dismounted and went over to her. Why do you weep? I hope no ill has befallen the Princess Draupadi. Could anyone have been fool enough to snatch away that incomparably beautiful lady? Dharma's son has become so anxious that he is ready to go after her even if she has entered the earth, soared to the heavens, or gone to the bottom of the sea. Who today will fall to the earth with his body pierced and torn by arrows? Do not weep, gentle girl, for Panchali will come back this day and be reunited with her lords. Rubbing her face, the maid said, disregarding her 5 Indra-like husbands, Jayadratha has carried Draupadi away by force. See there the trail left by that wretch and his followers. It happened not long ago. He cannot have gotten very far. Dhatrikeya looked up at the Pandavas and said, quickly give chase, my lords, lest Draupadi be violently overpowered and being beside herself, gives up her person to an unworthy man, even as the sacrificial oblation might be thrown onto ashes. Do not let the ghee be poured onto an unigniting fire of chaff, or the sacred garland thrown into a crematorium. Let no mean man touch with his lips your wife's brilliant face, as the soma juice might be licked up by a dog through the priest's inattentiveness. Yudhishthir said, go to your hut, gentle lady, and govern your tongue. Kings and princes who are puffed up with their power soon come to grief. Will soon come to grief, or they will in general, yeah. The brothers immediately went after Jayadratha. They twanged their bows and breathed the hot sighs of furious serpents. Soon they saw the dust raised by Jayadratha's army. Coming near the soldiers, they saw Dhaumya wailing because, yeah, urging Bhima to go after Jayadratha. Yudhishthir consoled the rishi and said, go back now, O priest. This low-minded one will soon be punished. Like hawks swooping on prey, the Pandavas rushed upon Jayadratha's army with fierce cries. Seeing the Sindhu king in the distance with Draupadi on his chariot, their anger increased like a fire fed with ghee. They called out to him to stop and fight. Upon hearing their thunderous shouts, Jayadratha's soldiers lost their senses and were seized by terror. Jayadratha looked back and saw the Pandavas' 5 chariots racing toward him. He said to Draupadi, 5 great heroes approach, O princess. I think they are your husbands. Tell me which one of them rides which chariot. Draupadi snorted angrily. After committing an act which will end your life, fool, why do you ask such a question? Still, as you are on the point of death, it behooves me to answer. Seeing Dharmaraj here with his brothers, I have not the slightest fear. Draupadi pointed to the foremost of the 5 chariots. Do you see that car upon which there is a staff with 2 celestial drums that are always being beaten? There you can see a lean man, the color of pure gold, with large eyes and a high nose. That is Yudhishthir. He is merciful even to an enemy who seeks his shelter. Therefore, put down your weapons and fall at his feet if you wish for your own safety. The princess then indicated the chariot to Yudhishthir's side. The one seated on that car, sorry, Yudhishthir's right. She indicated to the chariot that is to Yudhishthir's right. The one seated on that car, who has long arms and is as tall as a sal tree, who is biting his lips and contracting his brow, that is Vrikodara. His strength is superhuman, and the earth knows him as Bhima. Those who offend him cannot live. He does not forget an enemy, but always takes revenge, and even then he is not pacified. Draupadi went on to point out Arjun, who rode by Yudhishthir's left. He who blazes like fire, who is always firm in battle, who never commits a cruel deed, who never relinquishes virtue out of fear, lust, or anger, and who can face any enemy. That is my husband, Dhananjaya. Behind Yudhishthir, you see the twins on golden chariots. Here comes the religious Nakul, who is loved by his brothers as if he were their own life. He is an expert swordsman, and today you will see him cut your troops down like wheat. By his side is Sahadev, the youngest and favorite of all the Pandavas. His wisdom and eloquence are without comparison. That intelligent hero, so dear to Kunti, would rather enter fire than say anything against religion or morality. Jayadratha looked alarmed. Draupadi laughed. Now you will see your army like a ship with its cargo of jewels wrecked on rocks. If you escape unharmed from the Pandavas, you will have a new lease on life. Jayadratha shouted commands to his generals, quickly arraying his forces for battle. The Pandavas left off the infantry soldiers who were begging for mercy and made straight for the chariot fighters surrounding Jayadratha. Remember, Jayadratha had 6,000 chariots with him, that Kotika had said. So they went straight for the chariot fighters. The Pandavas went for the chariot fighters surrounding Jayadratha. As they charged into battle, they darkened the sky with a thick shower of arrows. Seeing them advance like dreadful tigers, the fighters in Jayadratha's army lost heart. Raising his mace, Bhima flew toward Jayadratha with a roar. Kotika and the other charioteers came quickly to protect their king. They rained down arrows, darts, and clubs upon Bhima, but he careered on without flinching. With a single blow from his mace, he slew a great elephant with its driver that was fighting in front of Jayadratha. With a few more blows, he mowed down 14-foot soldiers. At the same time, he fended off all the weapons hurled at him. As Bhima moved closer to the Sindhu king, Arjun killed 500 warriors who stood before him. Yudhishthir himself slew hundreds more, and Nakul went about with a sword, scattering the heads of the soldiers fighting in the rear of the army like a cultivator sowing seeds. He was just going like that, scattering the heads. From his chariot, Sahadev released fierce iron arrows which cut down many warriors fighting on the backs of elephants. They fell like birds dropping from a tree. A powerful king named Trigarta, fighting against Yudhishthir, suddenly descended from his chariot and slew the Pandava king's 4 horses with his mace. Yudhishthir pierced Trigarta's breast with a sharp pointed arrow, and he fell to the earth, vomiting blood. Yudhishthir, with his charioteer Indrasena, then leaped onto Sahadev's chariot. Nakul was assailed by Suratha, a mighty elephant fighter. The elephant crushed his chariot and dragged it across the battlefield. Nakul jumped down with his sword and shield and fearlessly faced his foe. Suratha goaded his elephant toward him, and the infuriated beast rushed at Nakul with a scream. Nakul swung his sword and severed the elephant's trunk and tusks. The beast, which was clad in golden mail, fell headlong to the earth, crushing its rider. Okay. Nakul quickly jumped onto Bhima's chariot. Yeah, the elephant fell down. Bhima released arrows with deadly accuracy. With a crescent headed shaft, he slew Kotika's charioteer, and his chariot flew about flew about pell-mell on the battlefield. So this is Bhimsen who attacked Kotika. As the confused Kotika tried to restrain his horses, Bhima shot a beautifully plumed arrow and severed the prince's head. So Jayadratha's son is killed. At the same time, Arjun killed 12 other princes fighting by Kotika's side. Thousands of other warriors were slain by the Pandavas. The battlefield was now strewn with the bodies of men and animals. Many chariots with tall standards lay smashed on the ground, along with armor, helmets, swords, and severed limbs. What was left of Jayadratha's army fled. Many ravens, crows, falcons, and jackals, all crying out in joy, came to feast on the flesh of the dead warriors. Jayadratha was now terrified. He quickly put Draupadi down from his chariot and fled into the woods. Yudhishthir had Sahadev take Draupadi up onto his chariot, while Bhima continued to slay fleeing soldiers. Arjun, however, checked his brother. What will you gain by killing these poor soldiers? They are afraid for their lives and running here and there. Leave off and chase Jayadratha. Bhima agreed. Turning to Yudhishthir, he said, O king, the army has been routed and its leader has fled. If you wish, go with the twins and take Draupadi back to the hermitage. Arjun and I will deal with Jayadratha. He will not survive, even if he goes to Indra for protection. Yudhishthir replied, O mighty armed one, you should remember that he is the husband of our sister Dushala, Gandhari's daughter. Therefore, do not kill him. Draupadi became agitated to hear Yudhishthir's words, and she said to Bhima, If you wish to please me, then do not spare that infamous and despicable Sindhu king. An enemy who carries away one's wife or who wrests his kingdom from him should never be forgiven in battle, even if he begs for mercy. Yudhishthir consoled Draupadi and returned with her to the hermitage. Bhima and Arjun at once headed into the forest after Jayadratha. The Sindhu king had already gone about 2 miles. Arjun took out 4 arrows and began uttering mantras as he placed them on his bow. Pulling back the Gandiva into a full circle, he fired the arrows. They sped through the air over the tops of the trees, covering the full 2 miles and killing Jayadratha's 4 horses. 2 miles. The king fell from, he shot from 2 miles away and so accurate with 4 arrows. He released 4 arrows 2 miles away and they killed the 4 horses of Jayadratha. The king fell from his chariot in fear. Getting to his feet, he stumbled through the undergrowth deeper into the forest. Quickly catching up to him, Arjun shouted, O Sindhu king, with what prowess did you dare take away our wife? Stand and fight. It does not become you to flee, leaving your followers to face the enemy. Jayadratha did not look back. Bhima jumped down from his chariot and bounded after him, his eyes red with fury. He quickly caught the terrific king and seized him violently by the hair. Arjun called out, Don't kill him! And Bhima, who was about to deliver a powerful blow, pulled back his fist. He dashed Jayadratha to the ground and kicked him in the head. As the dazed king staggered to his feet, Bhima knocked him about, striking his head and chest with his fists and knees. Jayadratha fell unconscious to the ground, and Bhima dragged him to Arjun. Through clenched teeth, Bhima said, This one committed a heinous crime and does not deserve to live. But because Yudhishthir has commanded us, what can we do? The king is always merciful and forgiving. Bhima looked contemptuously at Jayadratha, who was returning to consciousness. The Pandava considered how best to punish him. He took from his quiver a razor-headed arrow and shaved off Jayadratha's hair, leaving only 5 tufts. For a Kshatriya, such treatment was tantamount to being killed. It meant that he had been defeated and humiliated at the hands of a more powerful enemy, but left with his life. It was better to die in battle than to suffer such humiliation, and Jayadratha was consumed by shame. Bhima threw him to the ground and said, Fool, if you wish to live, then listen to my words. From now on, wherever you go, you must announce yourself as the Pandava's slave. This is the accepted custom. Jayadratha sat on the ground with his head bowed. So be it, he replied, trembling. Bhima pulled the king up and pushed him toward Arjun's chariot. Get aboard, he ordered. We will take you to Yudhishthir to receive his command. They rode back to the hermitage and found Yudhishthir seated amid the Brahmins. Bhima dragged Jayadratha down from the chariot and had him bow before Yudhishthir. Here is the wretch who offended Draupadi. You may tell the princess that this vile man has now become our slave. Let him go, Yudhishthir said with a smile. Draupadi came out of her hut and saw the bedraggled Jayadratha on the ground in front of Yudhishthir. The soft-hearted princess, thinking of her cousin Dushala, said, Yes, we should spare him. Bhima has punished him sufficiently, and he has now become our slave. Set him free. Bhima told Jayadratha to go. The Sindhu king, beside himself with anguish and shame, bowed before Yudhishthir and the Brahmins, and then stood up to leave. Yudhishthir said, You are a free man. I will release you this time, but do not commit such a vile act again. Although weak and powerless, you tried to abduct another's wife by force. Seeing Jayadratha's piteous condition, Yudhishthir was moved to compassion. He held up his hand in blessing and said, May your heart grow in virtue. Go now in peace with your followers. Never again contemplate such impiety. Jayadratha walked away from the hermitage sorrowfully. He thought only of how to avenge himself on the Pandavas. Realizing that he would never be able to overcome them in battle, he decided to accept a vow of asceticism to please Shiva. If he was empowered by that great deity, then surely he would be able to defeat any enemy, even the mighty Pandavas. The Sindhu king made his way to the bank of the Ganges and sat down in meditation. For a long time, Jayadratha practiced severe austerities, eating only leaves and remaining wrapped in prayer to Shiva. Eventually, the god came before him and said, What do you desire? The delighted king replied, May I be able to vanquish in battle all 5 Pandavas seated on their chariots. Shiva smiled. This cannot be. The Pandavas are unconquerable because they are protected by Krishna. Even I cannot slay them. Therefore, your desire is impossible to fulfill. But I will grant you this. With the exception of Arjun, who is the invincible Nara incarnate, you will be able to check all of them in battle one time only. After granting this boon, Shiva vanished, leaving Jayadratha to return to his own kingdom, wondering when the day would come when he would be able to use his boon. So he didn't even know which day it was. He just knew that on one particular day he would be able to check all the Pandavas except Arjun. No, we won't read this today. We'll read tomorrow. We will stop here. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining. We'll continue reading tomorrow.